All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I hope you can hear me and I hope you can see me. Let me know you can do that, whichever platform you're watching from. Photo Dream, NG, thank you for joining us. All right, so welcome to ATP Live Monday. ATP Live Monday is a program brought to you by Ask the Pediatricians Foundation. It's a session where you can ask any questions that you have about the health of your children, and you can get an answer live and direct from a pediatrician in the next 1 hour. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. And I'm going to just also make sure that people on Facebook can see the videos and they can hear. So feel free to also invite friends and family. Feel free to send them the link. Let them know we are here. Facebook people, let's know you are there. You can start to drop your questions as comments on the Facebook group or on Instagram or YouTube. If you are watching on our page, you can also drop your question directly. But if you are watching on any other groups, then you have to click on the video so that you can get to where you can post your questions and I can see them. Yeah, good evening, Akintola Abimbola. Thank you for joining us. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to ATP Live. Loretta, Chinaya, thank you. Welcome. So let me just make sure I also share the video so that everybody can see. That's why we say, oh, I didn't see it, I didn't know. So we make sure that we try to share it and pin it so that everybody can see it straight away. But while I'm doing that, feel free to start dropping your questions on whichever platform you're watching right now. And I want you to also be looking at for those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can see my background. We're embarking on ATP First Aid projects, and we will really appreciate you supporting us. I don't know, I'm going to do that on Instagram, but hopefully we figure, I'm sure you've seen it on our page, on our Instagram page as well. Feel free to support us in any way you can. We're going to all the secondary schools in Nigeria. I mean, that's a huge project, and we want to empower our students on how to do basic first aid. When they see any medical emergencies, they should know what to do. We've seen a lot of situations where when people have emergencies, especially in Nigeria, people really don't know what to do, and they just kind of, some will just pour water on them, or some will do other things, sometimes which make things worse. And we don't also have that emergency services that can easily get to where an emergency is happening. So it's important that those of us who are there first, we really know what to do and we can provide first aid care. And what we decide to do is to catch the children young, start with the students in our secondary school, teach them basic first aid care, and also give them reminder cards that they will have with them all the time in case they're like, oh, what do I do? They can just flip through it and then they can know what to do. And we hope that they will take that information home so their parents, everybody else, and that way, hopefully within the next few years, things will begin to change in our society and people will begin to know that this is the right thing to do. And we hope that will also stimulate people to go for even proper first aid care training courses and stuff like that. So that is the essence of what we're doing, and we will really appreciate it. We're starting in October, and we'll appreciate all your donations. And if you have any organization that can partner with us, if you are working in an organization and you know this is something that you would like to be a partner with, or you can support us with, feel free to get in touch with us, whichever platform, DM, Facebook inbox, email, askpediatricians@gmail.com. Post it on our group. We'll find a way to send us a message on our phone number. We'll find a way to get across to you, and we can work together to make sure that our country, our community, things are better. All right, so thank you so much. I think I'll finish all my announcement. I can now start the ATP Live proper, but I just want to pin most of the videos I've shared. Let me just pin them in 1 minute, and then I'll be ready to start. I can see all the questions as they're coming in. Feel free to start dropping them. I'm just pinning the videos so that people can quickly see them on the groups, and then we can start. Thank you. And if you have any questions related to our first aid care project, feel free to also reach out. If you just want to know more what we're doing, or you have other organizations that you think we can partner with, we are open to that. Feel free to please reach out to me, and we'll be able to work together. Thank you so much. For those who have donated already, I want to say thank you. It's really just on our Facebook group. I've seen many of you have sent your token to us. Nothing's too small. Even 1,000 naira will print like 10 cards or 2 calendar for a school, and we're also going to give them first aid box. So nothing is too small. Just, the more the better, and we can do more. All right. Okay, I think I'm done with all the drama and announcement. All right, so let's start. I'm going to start with Instagram first. Once again, let me welcome everybody. Welcome to ATP Live Monday, brought to you by Atp Pediatricians Foundation. If you have any questions about the health of your children, feel free to post your questions, and I'm trying my best. I'll do my best to answer them within the next 1 hour. But just to know that even if you have questions beyond the live session, you can always post your questions on our ATP Facebook group. We're there 24/7, Mondays to Saturdays, and we will try and answer your questions as soon as we can. So that is what we do. All right. Good evening, Loretta. Good evening, Photo Dream, Henchi. Good evening to everyone on Instagram. Dizzy Nyog. Okay, good evening, Doug. Good to see you today. Good to see you too. Though I can see your face, but good to read from you. What is the dosage of Zental? Zental is albendazole. It's a deworming medication. So you were asking for the dose for your 1 year, 7-month-old. Now, if you are giving syrup, that will be 10 mils. And if you are giving a tablet, it will be 200 milligrams. And if it's for your 2-year-old, it's 400 milligrams. So it's a very easy dosage to remember, because the dosage is the same for everybody from 2 years old and above. Even adults, it's still the same 400 milligram, or depending on the kind of liquid that you are using. Some will put 400 milligram in 10 mils, some will put 400 milligram in 20 mils. It is always written on the pack. So look at the pack. If they say 400 milligram in 20 mils, then that means you are giving the whole 20 mils. If they put 400 milligram in 10 mils, you give 10 mils. But if you are going to give to your child who is less than 2 years old, you give 200 milligram. So 200 milligram, if it is a bottle that is 400 milligram in 20 mils, then you give 10 mils. If it's a bottle that is 400 milligram in 10 mils, then you give 5 mils. So that is how to do it. And you only need to deworm every 6 months. You don't need to deworm every 3 months. I know some others always give worm Stellas like every 3 months. No, that's too frequent. Every 6 months is fine. However, if your child now has worms, in other words, the dosage I mentioned now is what we call like prevention kind of dose. We want to deworm even though the child does not have worms. We're just trying to prevent them from having worms. So that is okay. But if your child already has worms, like when you give the dose, child is passing out worms, the child already has worm infestation, the dosage is different. Usually for children who already have worms, we treat them for like 3 days. And then we also repeat it in 2 weeks. So if your child already has worms, you may want to see a doctor properly, so that number one, we identify the type of worms the child has, and then we can decide how long we're going to treat the child for. But usually, for children who already have worms, we treat them differently. It's treatment now as against prevention, which is what we do for everybody, even though they don't have worms. Okay? Ayoyemi, good evening. Say hello, beautiful mama. Good to see you again. Good to see you too. Thank you for being here. Makeup remover and more. Good evening. I have questions. Please ask your questions. You say, how should one deworm a 5-year-old? Okay, I think I just answered that question. So if it's a child from 2 years old, even to you, the mamas, adults, it's the same 400 milligram dose of albendazole. That's if you're using albendazole. Or if you just go to any pharmacy, ask them, they will give you worm expellers, they will tell you how to use it. It's a over-the-counter medication, so you don't need a prescription for worm expellers. Walk into any pharmacy, they will give you the worm expeller and they will tell you the dose to use for your age. The commonest we normally use is albendazole, and that is the one that I said is 400 milligram. If it is tablets, it could be one tablet, it could be two tablets, but just take note that that's will be 400 milligram in total. And if it's liquid, the same 400 milligram, it could be 10 mils, it could be 20 mils, because different brands use different formulation. Okay, then you are asking my 3 months and 2 weeks baby weighs 5.7. Resumed work a week ago. She's feeding on the express breast milk well with bottle. Okay, that's fine. They tell us the birth weight of your baby. So when you want to ask question about weight, it's good to always know where we're starting from. So always tell us the birth weight, and then you tell us the current weight. I don't know what your question is, whether you're trying to ask whether the weight is fine. If that's the question, yes, the weight is okay. I'm assuming your baby started at least 2.5 or 3 kilos. That is fine. Makeup removers say my baby had jaundice, was above 20. Wow, that is high. And it's better now. However, it's next year to stand. How is your baby now? Okay, 3 months old. Yeah, so your baby had severe jaundice. The question I was going to ask is that did they exchange your baby's blood? Because if your baby has a jaundice of 20, we will normally change the blood. We will do what we call exchange blood transfusion, because the problem with jaundice is not the level or whether it will come down. It will always come down. Even if you don't do anything, jaundice will always come down by itself. But the problem is before it comes down, as it caused damage to the brain. So that's why I always tell mothers, jaundice is an emergency. Even many people think, oh, is it not jaundice? No, jaundice can be mild and you don't need to do anything and the baby will be fine. But jaundice could be very high, like what you just mentioned. And those are the levels that will cause brain injuries and brain damage, what we call connectors, and those kind of children may develop cerebral palsy. So that is why we always, when we get to that level, we are very aggressive. We take out the blood, replace it with fresh blood, put the child under for therapy. We're very aggressive, want to crash that jaundice level quickly so that it doesn't cause brain damage. And then we need to monitor that baby even after discharge. So your baby is 3 months old. Most babies develop neck control around 3 months old, but some babies may just be a little bit later. So I will wait until your baby is 4 months old. So if your baby is 4 months old and does not have neck control, definitely you have to go back to your pediatricians, and your pediatricians will know what to expect, because you didn't tell me how they manage your baby then. So, but if they didn't manage, maybe they felt it was too late, I don't know, that may also explain the developmental delay. But I will just still give maybe a grace of another 1 month. And by the time baby is 4 months old, if we still don't have neck control, then we are going to be worried that this child is developing signs of developmental delay. Possible that the child has suffered some brain injury at the level of when the jaundice was too high, and then we have to now start to manage that. But it's manageable, but it's a long journey. Definitely the baby has to be under the care of a pediatrician. So I hope that is helpful. Makeup remover. If you have any more clarification, you're free to ask. All right, I will just take one more question on Instagram and I'll go to Facebook, because I can see Instagram is still flowing with a lot of questions. This Nyog say, I need clarification on this. Is it safe to stop vomiting in kids? You can't stop vomiting in children. Don't give any drug, don't give any Avumi or any drugs You, as a mother, you cannot stop vomiting in children. There is no home remedy for vomiting in children. Okay, if a child is vomiting and vomiting, you have to take the child to the hospital. That's all you can do. So there's nothing like first aid or using drugs that I don't know, people give to stop vomiting. For adults, don't even try it in children. Don't try Phenergan. Don't try any so-called drug to stop vomiting. They are very, very dangerous drugs, and we don't usually like to give it to children. So, if your child is in the hospital, we have what we can give the children. Most of them are injections. Most of them are drugs we give into the vein. So that's why it's not something you can do at home. So, your child has vomiting, try and give them a little sips of water and see whether they get better. If they keep vomiting, you have to take them to the hospital. That's all you can do at that point. Okay, and that is the pediatrician's opinion. All right. Okay, I'll come back. Instagram people, don't go away. But I think Facebook people are is overflowing now, so we'll come back to you. Good evening, Timmy Dayo. Timmy Dyer say my baby just clocked 8 months. Okay, congratulations. And you finished EBF for 6 months. You didn't take anything from me apart from water. No, that is very dangerous. I mean, after 6 months, breast milk is no longer enough, so you cannot be giving only water. I mean, you are even diluting the breast milk for that by giving water for a 8-month-old baby. Only no, that's not appropriate at all, and that's because you are not doing complementary feeding. And complementary feeding, we need to understand the principles of complementary feeding. Most mothers, you just give your baby food one day, and baby doesn't want that, then you just say, okay, baby doesn't want that, then you leave it, and then no, that's not how to do it. You have to keep giving it until the baby starts taking it, and you have to be persistent and you have to be patient. Sometimes baby may just take 1 spoon. Don't say because he only took 1 spoon then I'm going to stop. No, you keep giving that 1 spoon, then later try and make it 2 and 3, and that is how you increase it. And you cannot say a child is not taking a food from you until you have given that food 3 times. That is 13 times. So a lot of mothers give up quickly on complementary feeding. Number one, there are lots of things we do wrong. Number one, you give the first time, the child doesn't take it, then you mean, oh, the child doesn't want it, that, and then you want to try something else. No, you stick with that one again. At least I always say try for 1 whole week, offering it over and over again. So a lot of mothers want to be able to take a lot of that same food the first time you start giving it. So you want baby, because baby is taking maybe 120 minutes of breast milk before, and then you now think that when you are now starting pap or cereals, the child should also take 120 minutes. No, that's not the same thing. The amount of cereals they need to take is definitely going to be smaller because there's more calories in the same volume, So if you give like 100 mils of breast milk, maybe you give 67 calories. For pap, you may not need to give up to 100 mils. You may just need to give up maybe like 25 mils or 50 mils, and you still get the same amount of calories. So the goal is not to work like replace the quantity. Like, okay, if you're taking 120 mils of pap, there must be 120 mils of breast milk, there must be 120 mils of pap. No. And like I said, the first day you're giving a meal, even if it's just 1 spoon, that's okay. Even if it's 2 spoons, it's okay. And then you will now work on gradually increasing it. Number 3, many people like to give complementary feeds via bottles. No, don't ever bottle feed babies complementary food. This always has to be with the plate and with the spoon or with the cup. Never bottle. Don't put the pap or cereals or anything you're giving your child in bottles. Never do that. So you make your porridge or mashed food, whatever you're giving, it has to be thick. It has to be, it can be, it can't be watery. So I always give parents that if you take a spoon of your porridge or your pap or your whatever you're giving your child, you should be able to turn that spoon upside down and it should not fall. That is the definition of it being thick. If you pour it and it's flowing, then that means it's not thick enough. So you should be able to take it on the spoon, turn the spoon upside down, and it's not going to fall off from your spoon. That is the kind of texture or level of thickness that we want with your cereal. And then you have to keep offering it. And initially when you start giving complementary food, it's not a replacement. So you keep on breastfeeding your baby, but you are still going to give the complementary food. So the quantity you need to give is not much. So for a 6 month old to 8 months old, it's just about maybe 25 mils or half a cup. And when I say a cup, I'm trying to look for what I can use to describe it. Like if you do, the usual, that stainless cup that most mothers have, or that small cup, like half of it is okay for your baby. And like I said, sometimes you just give initially 1 spoon, then make it 3 spoons, five. That's how you do it and build on it. But there's no way your baby is not going to be taking more than breast milk since 6 months. That is writing letter to malnutrition. That child is going to be malnourished, okay? And you are now even giving water. The water, so the space that the breast milk should even take, water is taking in. So that is reducing even the calories. So a lot of mothers will breeze through breastfeeding because you don't have to do anything. You just put the baby to the breast and they all suck and you're fine. And I think a lot of mothers struggle when it comes to complementary feeding. And what I normally recommend is that if you are on our Facebook group, go to Ask Bijan Facebook group or our YouTube channel. We have all these videos that explain complementary feeding, that shows you how to do. You don't need to buy anything from the shops. You don't need to buy. You can use all the things you have in your house: your potato, your yam, your rice, your pap, your cereal. You can use all the things you have in your own house to feed your baby. Okay, and they will tell you how to, the quantity you give to a 6 months old, the quantity you give to a 9 month old, how often you give it, what can you give. And there's no food that your baby cannot eat. So it doesn't have to be cereal or a particular brand of cereal sold in the stores. It doesn't have to be any of those things. Your normal food, your baby can eat it, or even your so-called swallow, the amala, the semo, it's the texture. It's about making it very soft and all that. And then you have to be conscious of the classes of food. So we have the carbohydrate, we have the protein, we have the fat and oil, we have the vegetables and the fruits and that supply vitamins and all that. You must make sure that you try to mix each of them into the food, but it doesn't have to be big volume. It's just about, making sure you package. Even just 1 spoon of palm oil in your pap when you're cooking it is adding a lot of calories to that pap. And then you just, maybe put a little bit of crayfish in it, and that's it. And then you put your breast milk, or you can buy any age appropriate formula and have it. That's it. That's a complete meal for the child. And if that child can take 3 or 4 spoons, that's fine. And you don't have to force the child to finish a whole bowl. It's a gradual thing. And as the child is getting bigger, and like at that age more, you can start giving them things they can hold in their hand. You can give them something like banana, they can hold it in their hand and they just eat it, a boiled egg or a kara, things like that. They can eat it and they're still getting a lot of calories. So you have to, it's something we all have to do. It's not like some babies are very easy. You give them anything, they will eat it. But some babies are a little bit fussy, so you have to be more patient with them. But you have to give them food and they have to eat, and they cannot survive only on breast milk and water from 6 months old. So you have to work on it. So I will encourage you to go to our Facebook group, go watch all those breastfeeding videos. Complementary feeding videos, or you can download the app, Birth and Beyond app. They also have those videos in the app. Watch them. When you're watching them, don't do any other thing as well. Not that will tell me, "Oh, I watched them. I see it's not helpful." Most of you are not watching them with the mindset of learning all the principles. You are just watching them just to tick a box that Dr. Williams said we should watch these videos. If you watch them, you will see those. They were teaching all those principles. They're telling you the quantity, how often you feed, what you can give your baby. All the class, they put everything. It's a very, very simple. And they didn't use anything outside your house. They didn't use anything outside your kitchen. They are all things that you all have at home that they were showing you how to feed your child with. So you need to work on that. And you have to work on it. Your baby cannot be on breast milk only at 8 months old. What is the weight of the baby now? I really need to know because I'm worried about that. Okay, I hope that's helpful. For those who need more information, I think complementary feeding is something that I've taught over and over again. It's on my podcast, it's on our YouTube channel, it's everywhere. Just search complementary feeding on any of the ATP platforms. You're going to see them. We have lots of tips. Just use them and be patient, be persistent. Don't be in a hurry. Don't want to just, feeding time is something children should relax and enjoy. It should not be like a to-do list. that we have to take off. So you just have to be patient and persistent, and I'm sure the child will eat. And you keep trying. Like I said, if you try one food for 1 week, then try something else before you will find something the child will like. There's no way the child is not going to like everything. Okay, it's not that just that some people will just want to stick with pap or with this particular cereal. No, complementary feeding is not pap. Some children may not even like pap. They may never take pap. They don't have to take pap. If it is mashed potato, you put your mashed potato, put a little bit of butter in it. Most children enjoys that, or you use when you boil your meat, that water, you can use it to, cook, because when that boiled water has a lot of protein from the meat and the chicken and all that, then you can use it to boil yam or something, mash it very well, put a little bit of, crayfish and a little bit of seasoning. The children will eat it. Don't give children food that doesn't have sugar. Don't give them food that doesn't have salt. Some of you say, oh, children should not take salt, should not take sugar. Then you give them food that you yourself, you cannot even take. The food has to be tasty. The key is moderation. We're not saying you should pack all the salt in the world in your child's food or pack all the sugar, but it has to have a little bit of taste. Or you can use dates, natural, seeds, natural a fruit that have taste, or you can put banana in your cereal, it will give it taste as well. So those are things you have to do. There are people that have websites and platforms that all they teach is how you can, all the different kind of recipes you can make for your children. You may want to check them out and start trying them one after the other. Before you know it, you will see that your child enjoyed this one, and you keep trying and you keep adding to your recipe of what your child is, but your child has to eat, but no force feeding. All right, let's move on. Somebody say Ugo Chukuvera is 7 kilograms too poor, I guess, for a baby of 15 weeks. No, it's not too poor for 15 weeks. That's fine. It's okay. Why can I start teaching my baby how to sit? You don't need to teach your baby how to sit. Okay, children start to sit by themselves. Right. So usually children tend to gain neck control by 3 to 4 months. They tend to sit with support by 5 to 6 months, and then by 7 to 8 months they can sit by themselves without any support. By 9 months they are crawling. By 10 to 11 months they are standing. By 1 year they are walking. That is the average developmental milestone. Some children a little bit earlier, some children a little bit later, but every child will walk at their own pace. So you don't need to teach them anything. They will accomplish this thing by themselves. And if your child has not yet achieved neck control 100%, then the child cannot move on to sitting. So we use the medical jargon that development is cephalocauda. In other words, your child has to achieve one milestone first before moving to the next. A child who has not yet developed neck control is not going to sit. A child who is not yet sitting is not going to crawl, though some children don't crawl. But a child who is not yet sitting will not stand and then will not walk. You can't jump from standing before you sit, unless there are some other problem with that child. But development is progressive, so you must accomplish one before you move to the next one. So if your child is not having good neck control at 15 weeks, sitting is not the problem. We want the child to have good neck control. And if by 4 months your child's neck control is not perfect, you need to see a pediatrician, because that's the cutoff for neck control. So that's what we normally advise. So there's no hurry in development. A lot of mothers, you are looking at your friend's daughter or your friend's child, and because that child is already doing that, you also want your child to be doing this. Everybody is going to move at their home pace. So don't compare children, don't be in a hurry, and don't panic or worry. So when I say the child will do this and this, it's a range. So what I've given you is the average for 50% of children. Some children will do it a little bit faster, some children will do it a little bit later, but it's a range. So you just give your children some time and don't be in a hurry and don't panic after them. So that's what I want to say. So Gochuku, if by 4 months your child's neck is still not stable, please see a pediatrician and then they can take it up from there. I hope that's helpful. Good evening, Bolanle. Okay, Ugochukwu is still asking, can I give paracetamol tablets to a 2-year-old baby? Usually for children, I prefer you give them syrup. It's easier for you to work out the dose for children with the syrup than with the tablets, okay? So, because for a 2-year-old, the tablet is 500 milligram. If your 2-year-old is weighing, let's say, 12 kilos, which is the average weight of a 2-year-old, you're going to be given about 240 milligram, which is like half of the tablet, which is okay. I guess it's easier for you to do half tablet. But if it's somebody who is going to do like 120 milligram, for example, it's going to be difficult to work out the appropriate dose. So there are things you should always have at home. Mothers, if you have babies at home, have your liquid paracetamol. Always have one that you've never opened. Always have it at home. There are things that you should always have in your first aid box. Your ORS sachet and the zinc, just always have it. Your paracetamol syrup, always have one. Just have them stock in your normal, antiseptic for cleaning wounds, your cutting wound. Every mother, you must have your own first aid box. So you should have things in there that if there's an emergency, even if it's in the middle of the night, you have something to do. But of course, if you don't have it and the child's really having fever, you can break the paracetamol tablet into half, and then you have to, crush it, and then you have to give it liquid. And it's not very nice tasty, so most children don't like it. So if you're able to get it down their throats, you can hide it maybe in a little bit of swallow and all that. They can take it fine, but it will save you a lot of trouble and headache if you just have your own paracetamol syrup always at home. As long as you have babies, it's always a good idea to have them at home, because it's always difficult for us to work out the dose with the tablet. It's easier with the syrup. Olanike Ogundipe, say good evening. You look beautiful, ma. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for your kind words. Okay, Gochuku Vera, I think it's just me and you today on Facebook. Can I give breast milk and formula without after? I'm not sure I understand that part. I can't pump enough for the day because of work. Okay, you are talking about mixed feeding is it for your 15 weeks old baby? If you can do exclusive breastfeeding, that's what I would recommend. You already know that anyway. But of course, if you are really struggling, you can go for second best. I always recommend the best, but if you have to go for second best, you just have to do what you have to do. That's no problem. So no worries. But we will always recommend you do exclusive breastfeeding. And you can if you want to. I'm sure you can if you want to. Okay, let's take one more question on Facebook, then we'll come back to Instagram. What can I do for my 2-month-old baby to gain weight? What is the weight of your 2-month-old? For Lashadi or Ladokun, what is the best weight? What is the current weight? Then I will know what to advise. Maybe your baby's weight is even okay, but what you need to do is just to breastfeed your baby exclusively only. That's all you need to do. Exclusive breastfeeding. Breastfeed the baby on demand, not less than every 3 hours. So, and just breastfeed and breastfeed, and that's all you need to do for a 2-month-old baby, and your baby will gain weight. And please note that what we want is healthy weight, because too much weight is also not good. Just the same thing as underweight. We want healthy weight, because some mothers always ask questions because they want their children to be chubby and puffy and all that. Sometimes those children are overweight. Most of the children that you are looking at, and so this is a very big, chubby baby. Most of those babies are overweight, and it's not good as well. So we want healthy weight, and that's why I'm asking, what is the weight of your baby now? Then I will know whether, okay, yes, you have your right to be concerned, or no, you don't even have to be worried. But whichever way, what we recommend for a 2-month-old baby is only breast milk and breast milk only. All right, let me come back to Instagram, because Instagram people have lots of questions. Ayoyemi say, I noticed that she doesn't want to suckle on the breast as much as used to. Okay, Ayoyemi, I forgot saying, how old is your baby now? Your 3-month-old baby. Okay. She said adjusting to the change. What change? I'm not sure. Let me go back to your beginning of your question. Okay. Are you talking about the express breast milk? Okay, I think I got your question now. All right. So usually babies definitely prefer to suck more than they want to suck from the bottle. And there's also confusion. Usually we don't like bottles, to be honest. We don't want you to bottle feed your children. We want you to just breastfeed them, because babies get confused between your nipple and the teeth of the bottle. And so you have some babies that will don't want to suck the breast, they will just want to take the bottle, or the other way around. And so we call it nipple confusion. It's a real thing. So usually for babies, we usually prefer you breastfeed them and you can give them cup for the breast milk. I know most mothers don't like that because either they are not confident, but actually it's a very easy thing to do, a cup and spoon. But so many people feel like I can't do it, I can do it. I'm sure our nurses can show you how to do it, but that's actually the best way to give them express breast milk, through the cup, not through bottle. Okay, because of the challenges with bottle. But so I know a lot of people struggle with that, and if you have to do bottle, just make sure at least you sterilize them every day, and you don't reuse the bottle. Once you use one, it's going back for sterilization and all that. But if you can avoid it at all, that would be the best thing. Okay. And the most important thing for us to know whether a baby is getting enough breast milk is their weight gain. It's not how much of milk you think they should be taking per se. It is how they are gaining weight. So if the child is gaining weight well, and then the child is getting enough breast milk, so you don't need to worry about that. So I'll just say keep giving the baby the breast milk, and then um check the weightness, and then your doctors can avoid advice based on that. All right. Okay, let's move on. uh Okay, it said 100 milligram in 5 meals. So if it's 100 milligram in 5 meals, you give for your 1 year old, you give 5 meals. I mean 10 meals. For your 2 year old, you give 20 meals. Okay, that's what I need to say. Okay, makeup remover wants me to talk about jaundice. If I want to talk about jaundice, it's going to take a whole day, but I've talked about jaundice before. So if you go to um my podcast, Ask Dr. Bimi ATP, or just our YouTube channel, just look for jaundice. I'm sure you will see the discussion we've had on jaundice on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. Or if you want to read about it on our website as well, we also have articles on jaundice. So it's something I've talked about several times. So I'm sure you can watch, because if we talk about jaundice, that's all we're going to do today. I won't have time to answer all the questions. So usually I talk about conditions on Thursdays, but they are always stored on the podcast, YouTube, every platform. We don't delete our videos, they're always there. So you may want to watch the one on jaundice, and you will know everything you need to learn about jaundice. But I really want to know, while your baby was treated, I think you should let me know that. I think so I will know how to uh, situate the situation your baby may be in now. Okay, let me see. My 5-year-old had his first tooth at fault. I don't understand what that means. At 4 months, 4 years. Anyway, the front teeth removed, blah, 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 May 18. The second tree, okay, there's no tree. So don't worry, the baby teeth are going to come back. So usually children start to lose their teeth from 5 to 7 years, and they will come back. So if after 1 year the permanent teeth have not come out, then see the dentist. But I'm sure they would have come out by then. But if you're worried, just say dentist, they will talk about it. So makeup removal, I've talked about jaundice before. But like I told you, your baby, wait until your baby is 4 months old. If your baby is 4 months old and still does not have neck control, please see a pediatrician. And like I said, your baby has severe jaundice. It is not every child that has severe jaundice that will have developmental delays. Some of them will be fine, but some will have cerebral palsy because of the complication of the severe jaundice. We always don't want the baby to have severe jaundice, but once they have it, we have to be aggressive with the treatments. If we are not aggressive, or sometimes parents come to us too late. Actually, some of people, because in Nigeria, most people don't see jaundice as a big problem. And we go and give pawpaw water, go and give glucose, go and give ampiclos. Ampiclos, pawpaw water, glucose is not the treatment for jaundice. Never. And some of us go to hospital when once our baby have jaundice, they just say go and give ampiclos. Very ridiculous. Every child that has jaundice must have a blood test. We must take the blood, we must send it to the lab. That's the only way we will know the severity of the jaundice, because the treatment of jaundice depends on the severity of the jaundice. There are jaundice that we're not going to treat. We just tell you go home and keep breastfeeding your baby. It is what we call physiological jaundice. It's usually very low, always less than 12. It doesn't happen on the first day of life. It does not go beyond the fifth day to seventh day of life. That is mild physiological jaundice. Most babies will have physiological jaundice and they will be fine. So it's not your papa water, it's not your glucose, it's not the ampiclos. You don't need to treat them and those children will be fine. But there are children that have severe jaundice. Usually the jaundice will happen on the first day of life, in preterm babies, in babies whose mother had rhesus negative, babies who have GCPD deficiency, babies who have sepsis, infections, hepatitis. These babies who have severe jaundice, babies who have what we call ABO incompatibility. So if you are a old mother and your husband, and by implication, your baby could be A or B or AB, your babies could be at risk of having what we call ABO incompatibility kind of jaundice. So those kind of babies, they have very high jaundice. And we don't want it to go beyond 20 because the problem with jaundice is that it can get into the brain and cause brain damage. So what we want to do is to make sure that the jaundice level never gets into the level where it will get into the brain and cause brain damage. Because brain is a very sensitive organ, is the most important organ as far as I'm concerned in the body. Once the brain is gone, it's gone. It doesn't recover, it doesn't regenerate. The brain is a very sensitive organ, and babies' brains are still developing for the first 5 years of life. So we don't want any injury to that brain, okay? The developing brain of children. And jaundice can cause brain injury. So if people begin to see jaundice from that perspective, then we will know that jaundice is an emergency. And unfortunately, sometimes when people see jaundice, new moms don't recognize jaundice. Oh, they will think, oh, there's not, the baby is just being fair. No, maybe it's not just being fair. Sometimes we pediatricians, we have to take baby to the white lights and look at the baby to know that this is jaundice. Or some people say, oh, let's just do naming ceremony before we go to the hospital. I see this all the time. I'm not making up this information. I'm telling you realistic what has really happened, what I've seen in my practice as a pediatrician. And then they come to us, the jaundice is already 30, 40. Of course, we'll just treat the baby, but the brain damage has occurred already. And we already know some babies don't even make it. We lose them with the jaundice, but some babies will survive, but then they're going to have severe brain injury and disability, and that is what we don't want to happen. So please, 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 jaundice is an emergency in a newborn baby. Newborns, jaundice is an emergency. You must always go to the hospital. They must test the blood. They must tell you whether it's high or low or normal or whether the child needs treatment. So their treatment is just phototherapy light. There are times we have to change the blood, and sometimes we change the blood 2-3 times, depending on how severe the jaundice is. So it's very important that we know what to do. But if you want to know more about jaundice, watch my podcast on jaundice or on YouTube, or you can read it on our website. It's very detailed there. Okay. All right. So makeup, you said they didn't change the baby's blood. So how was your baby treated? Because if your baby's jaundice was up to 20, why did they change the blood? So I guess we really need to see you for a different consultation altogether. You will need to, unless they think it's too late already. Oh, thank you. Me, everybody seems to like my hair today. Thank you. Mrs. Daramala, good evening. Can jaundice be prevented during pregnancy? No, there are many cases of jaundice cannot be prevented. I'm trying to word my word my answer, because if your baby has, we can prevent prematurity, for example, because prematurity is a cause of jaundice. If we prevent prematurity, so we'll prevent prematurity cause of jaundice. But most of the other jaundice you can't prevent it, like ABO. If you are O and your husband is A or B or AB, your babies will always be at risk of ABO. We can't prevent that. We can prevent the rhesus type of jaundice. If you are rhesus negative, every time you have a baby that is rhesus positive, we have to give that baby, we have to give you rather what we call anti-D immunoglobulin. So we have this Rogam, we call it Rogam. We have to give it to you. So if you deliver a baby and you are rhesus negative, they must always check your baby's blood group. If your baby is rhesus negative like you, no problem. If your baby is rhesus positive, you must have Rogam. Whether your baby lived or died, or whether it's a miscarriage, once you have a pregnancy that ended and it is a rhesus positive baby, you must take Rogam, because if you don't take Rogam, your next baby is going to have severe jaundice. the child may not even make it because they can afford that complications as well, apart from the jaundice. So those are the ones that we can prevent, but most of other cases we can't prevent it. But the most important thing we need to do is to identify jaundice early. If we identify jaundice early, we can treat it and the children will not have complications. Most of the time is because most of us go home too early. Some of us, once our baby is born, day one, you're already home. Most of the time, if you have to go home, you should go back to see the pediatrician within 2 3 days so that they can check for jaundice. In some countries like UK, for example, a home visitor will come to your house, a nurse, they will come to your house and check the baby for jaundice, and they have what we call transcutaneous bilirubinometer, something they can use to check the level of jaundice. But we don't have those in Nigeria. So most teaching hospitals, for example, we will not discharge your baby until 72 hours because we're looking for jaundice, because most jaundice that will be severe will happen within 72 hours. So if by 72 hours your baby does not have jaundice, we we can be sure that there may be no severe jaundice. But usually we'll ask you to come back, in a couple of weeks to also check your baby. And when you go for immunization, they will check your baby. So we're always checking for jaundice. But if your baby has jaundice within the first day of life, within the first 2 3 days, we will not allow you to go. We have to treat the jaundice unless it's mild one. So the most important thing is to pick up jaundice early. And jaundice is not caused by wearing yellow clothes or any of those things. It is not. Jaundice is due to all the things I've mentioned earlier: blood group incompatibility, GCPD deficiency, prematurity, infections, others rarer stuff like biliary atresia and all that, but it is not caused by wearing yellow clothes. And I think the most important thing is for us to pick up jaundice early and treat it early because it's treatable. But if you don't pick it up early and it has caused brain damage, it's too late. All right. Thank God. I think okay. Let's take one more question on Instagram. Please also recommend food, snacks, fruits that can assist with lactation. Eat normal food. There's no. I know people can swear by like, oh, if you eat this particular thing, it will help you with lactation. If you eat, it doesn't always work for everybody. If you want to try whatever they say, it's okay for you to try. We would just say eat normally and drink water. That's all you need to do. The most important thing to make you lactate is your baby sucking on your breast. It's the sucking. Breastfeeding is demand and supply mechanism. The more the baby suck, the more the hormones that will make lactation to happen will happen, and the more the milk will flow. The less the baby suck from the breast, the less the production, and that is what normally happens. So make sure your baby suck. That is the most important thing when it comes to breast milk flow. It is not how much food, how much water. It's about the baby draining the breast. As the baby drains the breast, more will be produced, and that is the most important thing. So that's what I normally recommend. All right. Okay, Hayemi. Birth weight of your baby is 3.25 and current weight is 5.7 at 3 months. Not too bad. Just keep breastfeeding your baby, no worries. Yeah, jaundice is serious. Jaundice is very serious. Okay, somebody's saying, Mrs. Daramola, what is the cause of autism? The short answer to that is that we don't know. Okay, that's the short answer. That's the simplest answer. We don't know the cause of autism, but we have an idea what is causing autism. We think there's some genetic implications because we notice that autism tends to happen more in boys, 4 times more than in girls. It tends to happen again in the family. So I have children. I have families of children. All their children have autism. So there's something genetic. There are some genetic conditions that when people have those genetic conditions, they tend to have autism, like Fragile X syndrome, like Rett syndrome. So we think there's a lot about autism that has to do with genes, okay? But it's not like one gene. So it's not like sickle cell anemia, for example, that we know that this is the gene that causes sickle cell anemia, and everybody that has that gene we have sickle cell anemia. That is not how autism is. So some people will have the same gene and not have autism, but some people will have it. So, and it is there are two different genes. There are many genes, not just one gene. But we definitely think autism is genetic. But we also think there are some environmental factors, at play in autism as well. So, for example, we're beginning to see a lot more autism in children that are born through IVF. We're seeing a lot more autism in children of older fathers and things like that. So there are also some well, that may be genetic anyway, but there are lots of factors. But the short answer is we don't know one particular cause of autism, but we think there's a lot of interplay of factors that cause autism. That's all I'm going to say about the cause of autism. And can it be prevented? I think the short answer is no. Yeah, we don't always know who is going to have autism or not. Of course, those who have genetic predisposition, we can counsel them, and they can decide whether they want to see have more babies or not, and we can do genetic counseling. But sometimes we don't. People have everything is fine, the child is fine, there's no family history, there's nothing, and the child still have autism. So we don't know why. So there are lots of research still ongoing about autism. So hopefully within a few more years, we're going to have more answers for you. But usually when people ask me this question point blank, actually parents, I always just say we don't know. That's the closest honest answer. But we have some ideas that people are doing lots of research on, and we know there's a lot of genetic on the line, but we don't really know. Let's just put it out, keep it short and simple. All right, so Sokwe, next. Okay, 6 weeks old baby with nasal congestion sound like without catarrh. What could be the cause? You already told us. I don't know whether your child has catarrh or not. So you need to know you if your child has something coming out from the nose, that nasal discharge, then that is catarrh, or but if your child how do you know your child has nasal congestion? You see the sound the baby is making. So if it's just about the sound, you need to get a doctor to for child, because it is not every sound that is a problem. Some sounds are normal sounds, but parents always think every sound is something is wrong. I mean, it doesn't mean anything is wrong, but there are other reasons why children can have these sounds. So you may just want to have a doctor to check the baby first. Really, for the very small babies, don't just make assumptions about everything. It may bet. So when next you go for your immunization, or just ask any of the doctors or nurses to listen to the sound and check it for you, and then let you know whether there's nothing wrong or there's something wrong. But if there's nothing blocking the nose, we will not call it nasal congestion. That's the short answer to that. All right. Okay. Let's go to Facebook. Sorry, Facebook people. Isifo Mlanga. That must be from South Africa. Okay. Good evening. My baby developed some rash, which was severe. Now the rash is gone. Okay, good. But our skin has turned to 2 different colors. So for us, for doctors, rashes are not just only when something is like a swelling or something is rough on the surface of the skin. The change in color is also a rash. I know most mothers don't know that is true. The fact that your baby has 2 different colors is also showing that your child still have rashes. So rashes are not only what you can feel. Okay, that's the right word I'm looking for. It's not only what you can feel, it can also be what you can say. So when we have what we call change in color, it's also a form of a rash. And it could be due to things like fungal infection. It could be due to something like allergic reaction to something. So we need to see the child first, and then we can know what kind of a rash it is, and then we can know what kind of treatment the child needs. So I recommend you see your pediatrician, and then they can always give you they can always make a diagnosis of the rash, and then they can tell you what to do. For example, if it's a fungal infection, we have to give the child antifungal cream to use. If it's an allergic thing, we have to deal with that. So those are the 2 common causes of discoloration. But discoloration is also a rash. It is not only when something is rough or you can feel it. Even when something is changing color, we also say call it rashes in medical jargons as well. All right, she's 6 weeks old, yeah. And for babies, we have a lot of teachings on this appropriate skincare. Most of us don't do the right thing for our babies when it comes to their skin. Babies' skins are very sensitive because, they are coming from the womb. not much of sunlight, everything was perfect condition. So we bring them out, and their skin is still very fragile, very sensitive. So we have to be very careful what we apply on the baby's skin or what we use. A lot of things we use, all these products that all these companies make that smell so nice and all that, most of them are not good for your baby's skin. That's the honest truth. I know most of us like to buy those packs of nice smelling, products, but they're actually not good for baby's skin because most of those smells are chemicals that they irritate the baby's skin. So we always recommend you use things that actually have as little chemicals as possible. Go for things that are natural. Your natural black soap is actually better for your baby than most of the other soap that people sell, because it's usually made from what do you use, like they are made from natural products. Your shea butter, your coconut oil, even your Vaseline petroleum jelly without perfume. Those are the kind of product you should be. Olive oil. Those are things you should use on your baby's skin. Most of these other nice baby care products, most of them have a lot of chemicals in them, and they irritate some babies. They are fine for some babies. Some babies don't react to them, but some babies have very sensitive skin, very tender, sensitive skin. So those kind of babies, they will react to those kind of products. So you want to check whenever you buy any product, check. What are the chemicals inside? Is it dermatologically tested? Is it hypoallergenic? And if you don't want to go through all those stress, just go for all these natural products I've mentioned: your olive oil, your coconut oil, your shea butter, your Vaseline. They are fine. You can use those ones. Then no powder. Most of us learn to rub powder on our baby's skin. Most of the time, babies don't need any powder on their skin at all, because what we want the baby's skin we want the skin to be moisturized, to have water on top of it or inside. But when you put powder on their skin, you actually dry up that skin. And when you dry up the skin becomes itchy and becomes easier for the child to start having those rashes. I know most mothers always think powder will help baby skin, but no, it's not. So no, there's no need for powder. It's either oil or something like lotion that moisturize the skin, and it has to be things without chemicals that could also irritate the skin. So just do the right skincare first, and don't use any of these so-called there are a lot of products that people use these days. They mix it with their baby cream. Most of those things are drugs. They have steroids in them and all that. Please don't use them. If you're on our Instagram, I'm sure you see Dr. Falake Adek Cole video talking about skincare, bleaching baby skin. Please don't fall into that trap at all. And if you're on Facebook as well, it's supposed to, she's a dermatologist, and she's talked about that on our Facebook group, and she's also done some videos. Please watch them and make sure you're doing the right skincare. But all the same, the fact that you're doing the right skincare does not mean your child can still not have rashes, because a lot of mothers always kind of, they want to squeeze my neck, something like, Dr. Baby, I'm using Sebamed. Why is my baby having rashes? I'm like, yes, your baby will not have rashes due to allergic reaction and all that because you are using all those products. But your child can still get exposed to germs. And most of us, we are not very careful. Most of these, so far, most of people that touch our babies, most of them have lots of germs in their hands. So I always tell mothers, let them wash their hands before they touch your babies. And I know most people, it's not culturally correct, but then don't let them carry the babies, because most of them have things in their hands. It's not bothering them, but bam, they put it on the baby skin that is still very tender and fragile. The baby is going to have skin rashes. Or most of us just put our babies on our sofa. Most of those sofa, only God knows when last you clean or really properly dry clean them. There are a lot of fungus spots, everything on them. Then so I always say, before you put your baby on any surface, put the baby's own clothes first. And then you put, so that the baby doesn't come in contact with all these germs. They're all there, you can't see them, and those are the things that cause all this skin infection. So your child can still have skin infection even though you are doing the right skin care if you expose them to germs from your hands, from the hand of other people that are coming to greet babies, from your sofa, from the floor, So you have to be conscious of all these things. What surfaces might be coming in contact with, you must always be conscious of them, and you must make sure that you always maintain some level of hygiene around those surfaces. And so maybe such have allergic condition like atopic dermatitis, they are just born that way. They will have those skin rashes, not whether you do the right thing or not, but you can only make it uh you can only support them so that it's not as bad, but sometimes you have no control over some of those things. All right, time is gone. Let me rush. Baby 6 months is weighing 10 kilo. Your baby's weight is actually good, despite the fact that your baby is taking only breast milk and water. Actually, your 6 month old is overweight, to be honest. I'm surprised. Okay, so maybe your baby is eating. I hope you're not exaggerating when you say your baby is only taking breast milk and water. Because for your baby who is taking breast milk and water and it's weighing 10 kilos, I'm wondering what baby will weigh when baby is really eating food. So the weight is good, but I'm still not happy the baby is only taking breast milk and water at 8 months. So please, I think I've given you enough tips for what to do now. All right. Sometimes my baby of 3 months refuse to take bottle feed. It's not compulsory for baby to take bottle feeding, and I'm going to resume work at next month. Okay. Yeah, baby can take the milk from cup, from spoon, and that is what you can do. Just express, and the weight is 5.5. It's okay, not too bad. Just keep doing that. All right, I know. The other option is to take your baby with you to work. You can take your baby with you to work and breastfeed when you have break. All right. How do you manage colic? The good thing about colic is that colic is going to go by itself. There's no right answer to how you manage colic. It's just something we watch and wait and see whether it will go. Some people say Infacol helps. It doesn't help some babies. Some babies you just rock them. Some babies you drive them around. You put them. You movements. Some babies like noises. Just see what works for your baby to calm them down. Some baby likes to be snuggled, cuddled. Just do what you can do. But the good news is that most babies will stop having colic at the end of 3 to 4 months. So, and you will relax. So just do what works for you. Somebody said anytime she vomits, her persuader to take bottle. Can I give paracetamol syrup for 3 months? I'm not really sure I understand this question from Facebook user. So if you're a Facebook user, your question has to be complete from beginning to the end because I won't know which one is your own. I don't know the beginning of your question and I don't know the end of your question. All right. Ngochiko says she prefers chewing the paracetamol than taking. You mean she chew tablet paracetamol? Wow, that's good. That's an unusual one. Most children don't like taking tablets. Okay, I think I've answered your question about the formula and breast milk. I've answered that. She's 3.5 kg at birth, but reduced. What is the current birth weight? Current weight now. So what? So all babies will reduce at birth. So we expect babies to lose weight after they are born. So they will lose weight for the first 10 days, and then they will gain back their birth weight after 2 weeks. And after that, they should begin to gain weight. So I'm more interested in the weight at 2 months now. But what you still need to do for Lashade is to breastfeed your baby exclusively. Just keep breastfeeding and your baby will happen. You see, I didn't jump your question. I've answered your question. You asked about colic and you asked about your, what's the other question? Some rashes, which we have answered as well. We didn't jump your question. So you can repose the question between we jump it. Yeah, we've answered your question about skin rashes. Yeah, your baby is 9 months old and has no teeth, nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. Usually some babies don't have any teeth until they are 1 year old, even 13 months old, and it's still normal. So you don't have to panic about that. Don't worry, your baby will have teeth later. But make sure you see the dentist at the age of 1 year. So that's what will happen. Yeah, I'll answer your question, Sifu, about the rashes. I told you that the difference in color of your baby's skin is also a rash, and you need to see a doctor. And that is when I went on Target about talking about how you take care of the baby's skin to prevent rashes and all that. So I think I answered that question. You have to see a doctor. I cannot treat a rash without seeing a rash. We have to see rashes before we treat rashes. So rashes are not treated by just saying, oh, my baby has a rash. We have to see it. We have to decide what kind of rash it is. Is it a fungal infection? Is it an allergy? The treatment will depend on the type of rashes that it is, and that's how it's done. So just see a doctor for proper evaluation. Okay, your 3 year 9 months old has preauricular pain, blah blah blah. Is it something to worry about? If it is getting infected frequently, yes, you have to see the ENT doctor. They need to take it out. They need to, we can excise it. They need to remove it. But if it is not giving the child any problem, you can leave it. But if it is always getting infected, swollen, and bringing out pus over and over again, they have to take it out. That's the final solution. What causes jaundice in babies? I've answered that question. I hope you listened when I was answering that question. But if you didn't listen, no problem. If you are late, you can watch the video at the end and then you answer the question on jaundice thoroughly today. Okay, maybe 6 months old, stooling since yesterday, loose stools, how many times? So if your baby is passing watery stools 3 times or more, then we classify it as diarrhea. Then you can give ORS and oral zinc. Then Chiwendu Kechuku, my 8 month old baby is 3.1, birth weight, current weight 7 kilos, blah blah blah. His weight number, the weight can be better. And an average 8 months old should weigh 8.5. So your baby is weighing 7 kilos. It's not so bad, but it can be better. So make sure you're giving, you are feeding properly, especially with the complementary feeds. Make sure you are feeding the baby well. I'm not worried about the weight, but I'm just telling you it can be better. What do you know about sciatic pain? What do you want to know about sciatic pain? Okay, you have to be very specific about your question, and just to say that this is a pediatric ask the pediatrician live, so your question has to be related to children, and you also have to tell us what your question is. Only Chinaza said, is it true that giving paracetamol immediately after immunization to relieve pain is wrong? It is not wrong. You can give paracetamol if your child has fever. Okay, and paracetamol does not weaken immunization. It does not what is the word people use, that it does not make it not to have effects. No, that's not true. So it is okay to give your child paracetamol if your child is having fever after immunization. So that's okay. There's something wrong with that. Wilma Cornelius, my child hurt his back 3 months ago. Wow. And it got bugged discs. How old is your child? But the pain was gone. It was feeling good. And now that you started going back to the gym, the pain is back. How many weeks ago? 3 months ago. I would recommend that your child should see an orthopedic surgeon first, and you must get an okay from them before he starts to do any strenuous exercise or going to the gym. You must get an okay from your doctor, because if his back has not healed well and all that, he is going to the gym is going to put him at risk the more. You didn't tell us the age of the child and all that, so it's difficult to say. All right, so your baby is having twice what diarrhea today. Yeah, I would just say pay attention to what you're giving the child. Wash your hands. Pay attention to the hygiene. No bottle feeding. No make sure the food is clean. Don't give leftover food. If you want to give leftover, it has to be something you've kept in the freezer, and you must warm it thoroughly. So I generally just say don't give leftover to children, because those are where the bacteria multiply, and then it's easier for them to cause diarrhea. So work on all the prevention. And if the diarrhea continues, then give ORS. You have to give ORS and oral zinc, but work on prevention as well. At what month can the baby stop wearing pampers? If the child is potty trained, then you can stop wearing the diaper for them. That's the age. There's no age. It is when your child is off nappies. So when your child does no longer need the nappies, then you stop. If your child is potty trained, is able to go to the toilet by themselves, able to sit on the potty, they're able to communicate their toilet needs, well, by all means, get rid of the pampers. All right, 7 weeks old is having noisy stomach. There's nothing wrong with having noisy stomach. Noisy stomach is just gas passing through the stomach. It's not. You also have noisy stomach. I hope you know that. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. So you don't need to worry. All right, finally, I think I've answered all the questions. Let me finish the Instagram questions. I miss actually enjoyed the session today. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'm really behind in Instagram. Okay, yes, I stopped with nasal congestion. Um, Okay, cancer autism. Yeah, Faith and medicine. My baby of 4 months is having cradle cap. It's spreading to his body. Are you sure your baby have cradle cap or your baby is having something else altogether? Because whatever your baby is having on the scalp spreading to the body is most likely not cradle cap. Because when we say cradle cap, we talk about when your child is having like what look like dandruff in their hair, and then you can almost, like flakes coming off the scalp. That is what we meant by cradle cap. So if there's something else your baby has on the hair that is showing on the skin, we need to see it. We need to make our diagnosis first, and then we can tell you the appropriate treatment. So I will recommend, Faith, that you see a doctor first, so that they can have a look at the rashes and then they can treat it appropriately. She's also having discharge on the left here. It looks like your child is having an infection going on, obviously. You are given antibiotics, okay, and we went to the hospital, it's clear. Okay, so you have to go back again. So if it is back again, you have to go back to the hospital again, and make sure when you are giving your child a bath, you don't allow water to enter their ears. Okay, so a lot of mothers don't know how to bath the baby. You just pour water on them, bam, like that. No, don't do that. So when you want to give babies bath, you have to do what I call segmental bath. This is what I teach new moms. So the way you wash your own hair in the salon, that's where you wash baby's hair. You wash baby's hair, dry it, cover it with a cap. Then you just take your face towel, and just put it in the water of the soap, rub the face gently, rub the hairs, the external hair, and then you squeeze it out, put it inside normal water, squeeze it out, and then wipe it off. Don't pour water over the head of babies. You're going to make water to enter their hairs. They're going to have infection in their hairs. So you have to do it that way. Just wipe it, and that's it. Then you can bath the rest of their body. Then you can pour water from the neck down. That one, you have saved the hairs from water entering the hairs, because that's the commonest reason why babies have all those hair infection. The hairs must always be kept dry. The inside of the hairs, they must always be dry. So water must not be entering inside. And usually happen during baths when we just pour water all over the whole place. So just be careful when you do that. But I think your baby needs to go back to the hospital. There's too many issues, rashes on the hair, on the skin, in the hair. You have to go to the hospital and let your doctor see. All right, thank you so much. I hope I've answered everybody's questions. Okay, and your signature does fussy drink. Do you mean fizzy drinks? I've affected 2 months old baby. Yeah, some babies, yeah, I don't want to take fizzy drinks as a mom, as a new mom. Drink water, drink milk, drink tea, but not fizzy drinks, okay? But some babies, because a lot of gas. But I don't really think it should pass through your breast milk anyway. But some babies somehow kind of, some things they have to, some of these things can go into your breast milk. So you have to check what is written, what are the things that are additives on those things. Is it possible for you to pass through breast milk? So the less of all these things you take, the better. And if you notice that when you take it affects your baby, then just stay off it. Honestly, that's the best advice I can give. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ayayemi. Thank you, Mr. Ramola. Okay. Is that the last question? No. Okay. How can I stop my 4 months old from chewing a tongue? You can't. You just leave it. It's an habit. Most of them will stop it by themselves. To be honest, you don't have to worry. Okay. You're asking about Pepsi again. If we can stay off it, it'll be better. I know. Just try and avoid it, or at least make it minimal. All right, Chifega, say good evening. My 4-year-old has something long and white inside her throat. Something long and white. And she snores. I don't know what you're describing. Are you describing tonsils? I don't know. I'm not sure, because I'm not seeing. I'm wondering what is long in the throat. I'm really not clear. But I guess you need to see an ENT doctor if your child is snoring, and let them check. Then second, vitamin C drugs be used for a 2 months old baby having catarrh? It's not really necessary. The most important thing is to prevent the catarrh in a 2 months old. Give them breast milk, exclusive breastfeeding, keep them warm, keep them away from people that are having cough and catarrh, because that's the only way the baby gets the catarrh, from people, not from anything else. So if you keep them away from all those people, baby will fine. And most of them are viruses related, so they will go by themselves. You don't really need to give children vitamin C. Vitamin C is actually not treatment for catarrh like people think. Vitamin C is just you kind of helping the body to boost its own immunity to deal with the infection. But the vitamin C itself is a vitamin. It's not like a antiviral or antibiotic. It's just that it boosts your own body's ability to fight the infection. But if you're a breastfeeding mom, all the things your baby needs to fight infection is going to come through your breast milk. Maybe you should take the vitamin C and your baby will get everything through the breast milk. Your baby doesn't really need to take any vitamin C. That's the honest truth. All right. So I hope that's helpful. Finally, I need to go now. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So this person asking about ORS, because your baby has to pass watery stool 3 times. That's for the baby to qualify as having diarrhea. So if your baby is not passing 3 times, it's not really diarrhea. So it may be something related to what you are feeding the child, maybe the food or the drink. So you need to pay attention to what is, because every diarrhea is, every watery stool is not about infection or gastroenteritis. Sometimes it has to do with maybe the kind of food you're giving a child, and maybe kind of intolerance to the food or something. So that's why I say you should pay attention to the food, the water, the hygiene around that. But if it's more than 3 times, we will take that as diarrhea disease and you can give ORS. So technically your child is not yet having diarrhea. That's just what I'm trying to say. Oh, maybe pull once in a day, that's fine. Some babies don't even pull at all for 2 weeks, and that's also fine. No need to worry. For like you must be a first-time mom. All your questions are first-time mom kind of questions, which is okay. For those if you want to get the first-time mom product which I have for first-time mothers, just check on our Facebook group. Just ask for it. You may find it very helpful. And then there's one about all the 500 questions the first time mother is going to ask. You can also look through that as well. I think you may find it very helpful. So let me just show you this is what it looks like. This is a complete set with videos and everything. First time mom baby care ready book and videos. And then this one is just the question and answer. And then we have the one that is just the book alone. I can't even find the picture now. All right, but those are the materials that you may find it very helpful. Okay, yeah, this one, first time companion for first time mom. All right, thank you so much everyone for joining me today. It's been a long day. I've gone 15 minutes over top, but thank you so much for staying with us. If you still have questions, and I can see many people still have questions, but I need to go. It's already 7 p.m. Just go to Facebook group, Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. You can't miss our Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, type in Ask the Pediatricians. You will see our group. If you see a group with over 700,000 members, that is the group, because there are some our copycat groups, but they are not that big. So go to Ask the Pediatrician, and of course you will see all our logos and everything there, so you know you're in the right group. Post your questions there. We will try and answer them over the next 24-48 hours. So be patient with us. All right. But if you have an emergency, please don't post on our group. If your child is very sick, you have to go to the hospital, because we will not be able to treat your child on Facebook. But if your child just wants to ask, okay, is it diarrhea? Should I give water? Should I give breast milk? Should I do this? Should I do that? Those kind of questions, we are very happy to answer them. But if your child is very sick, please go to the hospital. All right. And if you want to support our ATP Schools First Aid Care Project, please support us. Nothing is too small, and help us. You are helping us to give back to the society. So we want to go to our schools, want to empower our students with first aid care knowledge, resources. So any amount you want to give us, 1,000 naira, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million naira, or you work for corporate organization that can be part of this project, please reach out to us. We'll be very, very happy to work with them, and we are happy to collaborate. So thank you so much. Till I come again next week, we will be able to take another questions live. Thank you so much. But if you still have questions, I can see many questions still dropping, please go to the Facebook group. We'll answer it there. Unfortunately, we can't answer your question on Instagram. Instagram doesn't have the kind of structure we need to do that properly, because we can't do a lot of DM and all that, because our accounts be managed by those who are not professionals. So, but Facebook allows our professionals to come and answer your questions when they have the time and close it and all that. So that's why we prefer to do it on Facebook. So feel free to head over to our Facebook group, post your questions there, and then we will be able to answer them. But I'll try and do a teaching on Thursday. So you can always check my podcast, Ask Dr. Mimi ATP podcast. It's on most of the podcast platform, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, everything. We also have on YouTube. If you are the YouTube kind of person, all our videos are also there on ATP TV. You will not miss it as well. So I come your way next week. Have a wonderful evening, and it's bye. Bye.